Time for a vlog. What are we going to be talking about today? GDPR. Please don't yawn or turn off now. It's not going to be your traditional GDPR blog because there's loads of these around at the moment. Everyone's talking about data protection and the new regulations. What I wanted to say and want to talk about today is actually it's a good thing. And the reality is that you should have been doing a lot of this stuff anyway. And also, people are getting confused about data protection on one hand and marketing on the other. And marketing is actually covered by what's called the Privacy and Electronic Communications Regulations. And those are the things that allow you to email or call your customers and your prospects. So what do I want to talk about on this vlog? What I wanted to say is you really should be doing this anyway. So for example, if you've got a big database of customers, for example, are you screening the data every 28 days by the opt-out register? That's something that you legally have to do as it happens. Every 28 days for TPS, which includes sole traders and non-limited liability partnerships, and corporates, so corporate telephone preference service, theoretically, you should be screening every 28 days and taking out those that are on that register, unless you've got what's called a prior existing relationship, which means that you've had a sale with them or in negotiations for a sale, like an inquiry. But let's put that aside for a minute and let's just talk about what this all means. Well, what it all means is that you should be doing right by your customers, because logically us marketing people shouldn't be contacting people that don't want to be contacted. And I know you want to be prospecting and so on. You want to be doing all of that good stuff in terms of generating new business. But there's a lot of wastage, because if you're contacting people that naturally don't want to be contacted, that's not a good thing. But what about the stuff on your current database? When GSA, that's our business, when we do calls for customer contact campaigns, the one thing that strikes me as a problem that happens pretty much every time is that customers, in inverted commas, often don't even know who you are. They've fallen out of love with you because chances are some of them have made inquiries. Some of them have bought from you yonks ago, and it's so long ago that they don't even remember. Some of them bought very small amounts from you, whether that's products or services. So the attachment to you and your business is pretty marginal in truth, and therefore again, there isn't any relationship there. And some of them could be changed. In other words, they've left. Because we've contacted databases for customers in the past where it's years since the last transaction or communication, and most of the people have already gone. So in reality, they're not even customers in the real sense of the word. So if you've got a large database, you really need to keep on top of that, especially if you're selling lots of different products to lots of different companies. So when we do work for, and we do work for some large companies doing database validation for them and customer contact for cross-sell or upsell, what do we suggest? So for us, there are 5 or 6 steps that you really need to go through, and particularly when the new regulations come out for May 2018, which timestamps this video anyway. And the new Privacy and Electronic Communications Regulations, which are the key ones that matter for marketing. What do you need to do? So first thing for me is segment your database. Segment your data into prospects, into customers, type of customer, size of customer, last contact date, categorization of your customers, perhaps by industry or whatever, and also the data that you need to remove. Stuff that's so long ago that realistically you shouldn't have it on your database anyway. You need to CTPS or TPS check your data to make sure that you haven't got contacts on there that are, or rather have opted out and don't want contact from you. Now remember, you can still contact those that you've got a relationship with, but check on that quality. If it's so long ago and the people have changed, have you really got a relationship? Would they really value a conversation? Third, prioritize those contacts. So decide the hierarchy. If you've got all these different contacts on your database, decide which ones you need to deal with first as a priority. And that might be lapsed customers or customers within a 12 or 18 month period that you haven't spoken to, who potentially you could resuscitate. And then decide what the hierarchy of calling or activity or emailing or whatever it is that you're going to do, ideally again in advance of May next year. What's your contact strategy for that? Are you just going to email them and hope that the bounce rates tell you who's gone and who's still there? Maybe that may not be the most accurate way of doing it. Obviously, using a company like us, GSA, we can call them for you and then update that database. What about defining a proposition? So it's all well and good making a customer care call, but are you just going to say hi? Or is there a reason for them to re-engage with you? So give them a reason. Now, one quick thing on that, you can't incentivize consent. That is not good, in fact, not correct at all under the legislation. So be careful. If you've got prospects who aren't really close to the business and you're trying to buy their consent for emails and marketing, you can't do that. But there's no reason why you couldn't give them offers and talk to them anyway if they're already on your database. So just think about that in terms of the proposition or the reason for the call. And then ultimately what you're looking to do here is gather consent for future marketing. And that's good practice anyway. Ideally, you should encourage people to come to you rather than go outbound to them. Because ultimately, the more engagement you have with your customers, the better it will be and the more profitable it will be for you. Hopefully that helps. It's given you a few steps to consider or things to think about in advance of May 2018. Ultimately, if you've been doing data protection right, if you've been dealing with opt-outs and suppressing people off the database that don't want to be contacted, if you've had regular communication with your customers and so on, then you shouldn't have a problem come May 2018. But if you do want to talk about validating large databases, give us a call because we can help.